unto the Lord as we're marching along. Sing unto the Lord, sing loud and long. Holiness unto the Lord now and forever. Call unto holiness, children of light, walking with Jesus in garments of white. Remnant of soul in the darkness with sin, God's Holy Spirit abiding within. Holiness unto the Lord is a watch, word, and song. Holiness unto the Lord as we're marching along. Sing unto the Lord, sing loud and long. Holiness unto the Lord now and forever. Call unto holiness, praise His dear name. This blessed secret to faith now make plain. Not our righteousness, but Christ within, living and reigning and saving from sin. Holiness unto the Lord is a watch, word, and song. Holiness unto the Lord as we're marching along. Sing unto the Lord, sing unto the Lord. Holiness unto the Lord now and forever. Call unto holiness, bride of the Lamb, waiting the bridegroom's returning again. Lift up your hands, for the day draweth nigh, when in His beauty the King shall appear. Holiness unto the Lord is a watch, word, and song. Holiness unto the Lord as we're marching along. Sing unto the Lord, sing loud and long. Holiness unto the Lord now and forever. Holiness unto the Lord is a watch, word, and song. Holiness unto the Lord as we're marching along. Sing unto the Lord, sing loud and long. Holiness unto the Lord now and forever.
Good morning. Good morning. Is the power on? Good morning. Yes, we are in business. We are just finishing a very blessed week. We had been visited by the General Conference President, Dr. Ted Wilson. It was quite a memorable occasion. Along with him came other presidents, the SID president, the SU president, our own president, and our retired presidents. Two of them are here. I'm very glad to see Pastor Muboneno, Pastor Mkubonda, and your wives. You are our mentors, and we feel very happy always to see you. So when we were in country club, it was a power-packed room. There were 6 presidents in there. And I felt like heaven had come down. A very blessed week indeed. For the rest of you, welcome to this morning's message. We are concluding a family week of revival, and the title of my sermon this morning is Families, Hope Beyond Hopelessness. Hope Beyond Hopelessness. Now, the Bible is a book about bonding, about intimacy, about procreation and how we can fulfill that need. From the Bible narrative story of creation. Is it on? Bishop, please try when you are cutting between. It's not very good. Hello? Better. From the creation narration, which is in Genesis chapter 1, all through the high-level prophecies of New Jerusalem, the Bible is giving explicit references on how to build relationships that will end up in bonding and permanency in terms of relationships. At creation in Genesis chapter 1, every time God does something, He will normally say it is good. And I counted from day 1 up to day 6, just after God created living animals, He had pronounced 7 times that it is good. Now, you know, number 7 in the Bible means perfection, completeness. When God said it's good 7 times as He was creating, He meant that it was perfectly good. But what is interesting is that after He created man, in Genesis chapter 1 verse 31, He says it's very good. So that which was perfectly good was not very good until when man came into sin. Man and woman came into sin. Then God says it's very good. I don't mean sin, I mean sin, the outlook. It's only then when God says it's very good. What I want you to notice here is how heaven sees mankind in his completeness, man and woman. The world was perfectly good, but only when the man and the woman came into sin that God sees it to be very good. Now in Genesis chapter 2 verse 18, God sometimes is very artistic. He didn't create Adam and Eve at the same time. For the animals, they were created male and female all together. But for Adam, Adam was created alone first. And then in Genesis chapter 2 verse 18, after Adam saw he had no companionship, only then God says that it is not good that Adam remains alone. So I want you to notice that God did not say it's very good when He created Adam alone. When He created Adam, God said it's not good. And it's only when Adam and Eve were together, then God looks and says it's very good. It must have been a very good marriage. It was a perfect marriage. And therefore, God says in the Bible, in Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother, and cleave to his wife, and the two shall be one. That is what was happening. There was bonding. There was togetherness. There was unity. In fact, from this narration, we can get three main things. That right from the beginning, there was attraction. There was coming together. Because the man leaves, voluntarily leaves, and then joins the wife. And they bond and become one. That leaving meant attraction. You cannot leave your home where the mother is and the father is and join to someone voluntarily if there was no attraction. But also, when God said, it's not good that Adam is alone, I will make him a helper meet him. That's the King James translation. But in the New Version translation, it says that I will make a helpful mate. I will make a meaningful mate. I will make a suitable mate. Here, in the relationship between Adam and Eve, there is only suitability. There is only helpfulness. There is no hint of exploitation. There is no hint of power struggle. There is no hint of conflict, because the partner given is suitable to Adam. And Adam himself was craving for companionship. And as Eve came in, she was a perfect companion. That was the perfect marriage. And in fact, the pastor last week said, this word, help meet, this word, suitable help, in other translation meant help that comes from God himself. So Adam, in his loneliness, got companionship that was almost equivalent to God himself being there. That was the initial marriage. That was the perfect marriage. That's the ideal where we would want our marriages to reflect. But now came sin. Before sin, there were these three things that bonded them together. One is attraction. Two is love, because this was a helper, suitable, a companion, a friend. So there was love. And thirdly, there was intimacy. The two shall become one flesh. There was intimacy. So this characterized the first marriage. But then sin came in. Let us see what happened after sin came in. I'm just going to cut my sermon short because I see it's time. I don't want to keep here long. The unity in the relationship was broken because they began to accuse each other. They lost their sense of innocence, and they felt insecure because they were running away. I don't know what they were running away, because God comes and they say, we are hiding. They were hiding because they didn't know what time will God come. And so as God comes, they say, we are hiding. Insecurity. During the week, we were saying that it's very difficult for insecure person to be able to love. It's difficult. It's contradiction. And insecure people, an insecure person will misunderstand any act. They think this is done to exploit them. And so insecurity creeps in and they run. They suddenly realize they were naked. Shame They feel ashamed of each other. There is no love when you feel ashamed of each other. They suddenly discover, oh, Adam, you are naked. Eve looks at Adam and says, you are naked. But before, they never realized their nakedness. So shamefulness comes in, and there is no way you can have good, loving relationships if people feel ashamed, if people run for hiding, if people feel guilt and insecure. There was a consummate desire to control each other. Why am I saying that? Because as God was trying to investigate, even just simply asking questions, each one is trying to show they are better than the other. It's not me, it's that woman. It's not me, it's that snake. There was a consummate desire to control each other so that you look better. Oh dear, that was the perfect marriage some minutes ago, but now everything is crumbling. You know, sin is very bad. Could anybody have imagined just from eating a fruit will come to this, where husband and wife accuse each other, where the environment is no more safe? You accuse the serpent, one of the most beautiful creatures in the Garden of Eden. They could not enjoy staying in the Garden of Eden. They go and hide. They pick leaves to cover themselves because suddenly they suspect they are naked. What a ravaged marriage. And to some extent, that's what our marriages are today. And I wonder whether Adam ever had immediately after that any intimate relationship with his wife, after instead of saying bones of my bones, he now says this woman. Try to address your wife publicly like that, this woman, and see whether that marriage is going to survive. What we are seeing here is a broken marriage. It's no more my wife. It's no more bones of my bones, but this woman. The marriage had gone. But God in his kindness comes in to bring hope. What hope does he bring? Actually, in the curse was a blessing. He begins to talk about the serpent. And then he says, the seed of the woman, the child, the seed of the woman shall crush the head of the serpent. Then he moves, Genesis chapter 3, verse 16 to 17. He says that I will greatly increase your pains in childbearing. With pain you will give birth. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. Here God refers to Adam as the husband of Eve. In other words, God is restoring the broken marriage, because Adam already was referring to Eve as this woman. So God is coming and saying, no, she's not just this woman, you are still the husband. Oh dear friends, maybe your marriage is breaking. Maybe there are all kinds of push and pull. You know, when I was still outside there in the world, I used to listen to Bob Marley's songs. And there is one of his songs that he sings. It's entitled, or he sings, Everything is Push and Pull. And this is what I'm seeing in this marriage. Everything is push and pull. But God comes and says, no, you are still the husband. But then things are different. The husband will rule over you. And your desire, you wives, will be over your husband. So, sin has entered. And it has marred this good marriage. But what God is saying, that marriage should not break. There will be one who rules, who uses power to control. But that marriage should not break. There is another one whose desire will be on the other. And that marriage should not break. Now, somebody explained this term, that the woman's desire will be on her husband. That in the Hebrew words that were used there, it actually meant that Eve will have an ordinate desire to control the husband, not to get him to love her, but to manipulate him for her needs. So that's the situation after fall. Eve will work to manipulate things, and the husband to satisfy her insecurity. They were insecure now. Adam will use his power to rule and to get things to his advantage. And yet God is saying, the marriage should not break. You will remain the husband, and she will remain the wife. And that's pretty much the picture that we see in marriages throughout the Bible, even marriages of God's proclaimed people. Look at the marriage of Abraham. Is it not exactly the same? Abraham uses his power to get Hagar, to make her wife, his wife equal to Sarah. On the other hand, Sarah manipulates things and gives Hagar to Abraham, so that the child who will be born will not be Hagar's child, but will be Sarah's child, manipulating the husband, just as it is said in the beginning. We see the same struggle in the home of Isaac. Isaac wants to use his power so that he can bless Esau, who brings him soup all the time, meat. Appetite for meat brought trouble in Isaac's house. And he wants to bless this one who brings him meat all the time. But the wife connives with the other son so that they can manipulate things and the blessings go to another. You know, the same thing that God said in the beginning. The husband will use his power to rule, and the wife will use her tactics to maneuver things for her benefit. The same struggle we see in Jacob's home. Leah and even the sister Rachel, they are always conniving and planning on how to capture the attention of Jacob, to the extent that each one of them they are made to become wives to Jacob. And Jacob, using his power always to deceive here and there, just as it has been said in the beginning. The husband will use his power, and the wife will use her manipulative tactic. That perfect marriage initially, which was supposed to be based on trust and love and companionship and intimacy, is no longer there. We see the same struggle in the home of David. David uses his power to get Uriah's wife without bothering what his wives will say. Men today are doing the same. They use the privilege of the power they have to do whatever things, irrespective of what the wife will feel. And wives maneuver even just before David dies. Bathsheba maneuvers to make sure that David leaves the kingdom in the hands of Solomon. Same game is being played today. In our families, husband and wife are outsmarting each other, maneuvering for personal benefit and not for the good of the family. And that's why there is violence. Women have joined human rights and they're claiming they're equal with the husband. Yet it's God who said that the husband shall rule over the wife. But now women are joining movements so that they can be equal in power with their husbands. The same power struggle that started in the time of Adam, we are experiencing it even today. And so their violence is at home. There are children who feel they are not loved. There are addictions in the home, people trying to find joy from some other source other than from the family at home. And so we have many drug addicts. We have many alcoholics because families are crumbling. And somebody is crying somewhere. Is there hope in this? If this is what was from the beginning, is there hope with us? If this is what it was with the families even proclaimed to be God's families, is there any hope? After all, it was even in the family of David where a brother rapes half-sister in the house of David. One who is said that to have a heart after God's own heart. One who is said to have a kingdom that Jesus will come to reign in the kingdom of his father David. Is there hope to anyone? I want to say this morning that yes, there is hope. But that hope is Bible-based. People have gone to sangomas, I don't know, to manipulate their husband. There is no hope from sangomas. People have gone to psychologists to try to study how the brain of another person works. Yes, you can solve some problems with that, but you cannot solve all the problems. It's only God who has solution for families. And I want to say to you, there is hope. There is hope. There is hope. But that hope is from God. In the New Testament, Jesus himself, Peter and Paul, they all suggest that we, after coming to Christ, we are coming to a new life. In fact, Paul says in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, that we all, if we are in Christ, we are new creatures. All the things are passed away. Behold, everything becomes new. What is Paul saying here? Paul says there is a need for a paradigm shift. Paradigm shift means everything changes. Your priorities change. Your outlook change. Your affection change. Unless there is a total change in us, there is still no hope for our families. But God can bring that change. God can change us from our stony hearts into hearts that can become loving and lovable. In this new paradigm shift, things are not based on conflict and contest, but in this radically new life, things are based in the grace of God. What do we mean by God's grace? Jesus Christ explains this in Matthew chapter 19, verse 11 and 12. I will read from the Message Bible translation. It seems to bring these things out more clearly. Jesus seems to say, or rather says this, in using the Message Bible version. The largeness of marriage requires, Matthew chapter 19, verse 11 and 12, the largeness of marriage requires a certain attitude of grace. What attitude is this? It is only when God's love and grace inspire us to action that we have a radical new power that reconciles us to each other, heals our sense of woundedness, and causes us to behave in a way that influence and sustain relationships meaningfully. It's only when we change. It's only when there is paradigm shift. It's only when we embrace this new sphere of grace that we are able to have meaningful relationship. Paul continues to say this in the book of Colossians. First of all, Colossians 2:2, he says that you must live woven in the tapestry of love. Oh, what a good statement. Woven in the tapestry of love. In other words, knit. Everything of yours should be knit together with love. If you don't do that, you cannot manage in this new paradigm shift. And then in Colossians chapter 3, verse 12 to 15, I like this. He says, so, you chosen by God, you are chosen in this new life of love. Dress in the wardrobe God picked out for you. Dress in the wardrobe that God has picked for you. So God has a wardrobe for you. How much of that have we used? What is this wardrobe? It says compassionate, kindness, humility, quiet strength, discipline, be even tempered, content with the second place. Husband, I thought you said you were ruling. I thought you said you are head of the family. Now in this paradigm shift, the Bible is saying to husbands, be content with this and quick to forgive an offense. Forgive as quickly and as completely as the master forgave you. And regardless of what else you put on, wear love. Wear love. It is your basic all-purpose garment. Never without it. Let the peace of Christ keep you in tune with each other and in step with each other. Dear friends, that's a total change. The problem is we are living the old life where Adam and Eve were bonded after sin just to keep them together. But God planned that after they come together like that, then they go through a transformation and a new paradigm where now there is no head. So you seek this not in women movement. The equality you seek is not from women movement, but the equality you get from the transformation under God's hand in his kingdom of grace. And then He continues in 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7. He says, be good husbands to your wives. Honor them. Delight in them. Delight in your wife. There are some men where the delight is gone. When they married, they carried all kind of suitcases of flowers to bring it to their marriage venue. But those flowers, that was the last they were seeing. There are no flowers at home. Cherish your wives. Honor them. And it continues and says, 1 Peter 3:7, as women, they lack some of your advantages. In the King James Version, it says, women are weaker vessels. But I like this version. It says, men, understand that women lack some of your advantages. So don't take advantage of them. And he continues and says, but in the new life of God's grace, you are equals. If the husband is still going around and roaming about that I'm the head of this house, then the husband has not been transformed. Because in this new kingdom of grace, you are now equals. And when you treat your wife, you treat her as one who has less advantage, and you have more advantage than her. In the older way of living, the husband uses his power to rule and dominate. But that's not so with people who have entered into this new paradigm of grace. When you enter there, you are equals. The Bible is giving us the solution to these marriages that we have tried our own ways. It has never worked. We have tried the Nganga way. It has never worked. We have tried the psychologist way. It has never worked. It's only the Bible way that will work. Treat your wives then as equals, so that your prayers do not run aground. That's a very strong statement. That if you do not treat your wives as equals, your prayers will not be heard. So husbands who are asking to command their wives, to command their families, maybe we have gone wrong. The Bible is saying, let us be equals. And unless we are equals, our prayers will not be heard. Yes, you can read in the Bible where the husband is heard. When sin entered, it was necessary to have somebody who is head. Otherwise, there will be confusion. But that's just one step. The next step is for the husband to work as priest of the home, so that the home will be transformed and enter into the paradigm of grace where everybody is equal. That's the Bible's solution. So husband, seek to honor and delight in your wives. Be transformed by the grace of God, so that we can make our marriages that today look like hell, they can become as small heavens on earth. And look at the one who is giving us this advice. In fact, Peter, he says to the wives, be good wives. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7, I had not finished. To the wives, be good wives to your husbands, responsive to their needs. Cultivate the inner beauty, the gentle, gracious kind that God delights in. Some women spend hours and hours before that beauty mirror. And heaven looks and wonders, what a waste of time. Because heaven does not look at the outward look. Heaven looks at the inside. So it says, wives, work in your inner heart. Beautify the inner heart. Make it precious, not the outside. We spend so much on the outside. And if you spend so much to decorate the outside, you are still in the stage of Eve, who her desire is on the husband, who works to manipulate in order to get her ways. Actually, the way women dress, it's just in order to manipulate. Short dresses so that men see. And when they see, you can manipulate them. Transparent dresses. Exactly what it was said of Eve. Your desire will be on your husband. What will they say when they see me? Yes, let me show a little leg out, and then they will know that I have nice legs. It's manipulative. It's still the old paradigm, if that's what you're working on. Clothes and makeups and earrings. It's the old paradigm. And God is saying, have a paradigm shift. Come into the kingdom of grace. And in that kingdom of grace, my daughters spend their time decorating the inner heart. And that is of great value before God. And in this kingdom of grace, the husband and the wife are equals. And then we are back to how things were in Eden before the fall. Unless we do that, there is no hope for our hopeless family. May God bless us as we contemplate this.